So, welcome again. Thank you, Christina, for joining. Thanks everybody who joined. By the way, I'm Mahesh. I worked in all these companies. Next, if you like this session, which I think you will, so I'm selling my next session already. So this is the next free session. Please enroll. There we will talk about what AI agents will dominate in 2025, like what are going to build next. With that said, this is the agenda for today. We'll talk about agents. We'll just revise quickly what are agents, what are the basics of agent. Then we will talk about the tech and the product stack of building agents. I will talk about both of them. Then we talk about top AI agents which is in production and why those use cases are working. And then we will talk about checklist to identify agentic opportunities. Because if you're a product manager, leader, or even a developer, all this is good stories to know about, but that's something you can go and start taking action on. So that's the goal today. Everybody excited? So anything that we are discussing today is not new. What is ML? Anyone? So I'm just going to lay down this saying machine learning era, Gen AI, or LLM powered things. And we'll just say one thing and one application. And then we will say flows, maybe. And then we'll say agents. Okay. So hopefully you will understand how this journey evolved with time. So machine learning is finding patterns. If anybody can find patterns and guess the next thing, then we can say it is doing machine learning, right? So finding pattern was the big deal here. Okay, I found patterns. Where can I apply this? Somebody said recommendation system. Congratulations, you won 5 points. So recommendation systems, Facebook, Google, YouTube, everybody's just trying to target you. Then we said, okay, we can find patterns, but it's really hard because we need to label a lot of things. We have to bring this embedding bags and all that kind of things. It's really hard. So what we did is there was one thing we were trying to solve all along was how can you predict the next word in a sentence? That was like the magic pill. I need not to tell what the next word is. You can just get it, right? Or the machines can figure that out. We solved that problem with coming with transformers in 2018. It became really good with next word prediction. So now I can do unsupervised learning, which is great because all I need is data. And I solved that few problems here where I have deep learning, so I really don't need to code. One more thing that happened, which made it look like us, talk like us, and we felt like we got intelligence on the other side, and it killed all the Turing tests. So we did reinforcement learning, which allowed it to scale this better, add one thing, but I'm looking for one extension. There is RL plus plus. What is that plus plus? So then what OpenAI did is they said, we're gonna create a policy which allows us to bring human feedback. And when they did that, this experiment became so cool that you can actually bring human feedback and then you can specialize this thing to a specific task or generalize to Q&A. And it behaved like us, it talked like us, and it can adapt like us. Agents, they call it, but actually they were LLMs with Q&A. And then you have the last thing that appeared last year, little bit, and this year is going, it has flows, it has Q&A capabilities, and one more thing it has. Can somebody guess like what becomes? So it takes flows, it takes Q&A, which is your LLM core capabilities, but what makes it super awesome with agents? Planning, great. Great. Reasoning, tools, great. All this. So I will just put it as orchestration. And for orchestration, all it needs is it can get a goal and then it can reason or plan and then act, then review, and then go through this loop, right? And in this process, it can call tools, knowledge, and guardrails. Okay, so that's what anybody says agentic, you can think of it has intelligence powered by the earlier LLMs, but it can do reasoning, it can have actions through tools, it has knowledge to refer, And it has its own guardrails, which helps it check that it's not going in loops, that it's not doing something that it's not supposed to do, and it achieves the goal. Okay, great. Let's go to the second part. So what is the tech stack of this system looks like? Okay, so I will just build the tech stack and you can help me. So on bottom, you have intelligence, and intelligence is coming from LLMs. Can somebody give me some examples of those? You build, somebody gives you intelligence, or you build your own intelligence by building a model which has RLHF in it, which has a lot of data in it. Uh, okay, great. OpenAI, Gemini, Claude, all these are examples of the bottom. If this doesn't exist, nothing on top of can be built. Then we have knowledge, which is you can bring your own documents. You can bring your company information because these models are trained on public data. They don't have any insights into what's your course looks like, what's your world look like, what your contracts look like, as Harsha was talking earlier. Give me some examples of that. How can we manage that tech stack? Open search from Microsoft allows you to take documents and create vector embeddings, and then you can query them. They solve that problem. Pinecone solves that problem. Chrome DB solves that problem. Llama Index is another player here, which allows you to bring all these together in no code or very simple way. So that's a tool which allows you to manage knowledge well. Okay, so now we have knowledge. Then can we take actions? We said actions. So those are the tools. And that's where your MCP server comes in. MCP server actually comes in here also, like on knowledge, but it's a way to expose. So these are the Lambda functions inside your APIs, like AWS Lambda functions, and exposing them as tools is one way to expand the capabilities of your models. And then on top of it comes orchestration, which can be a single orchestration, which says, hey, these are your prompts. If you are doing single model orchestration, it could be as sophisticated as other agent or other AI, which has its own knowledge, memory, guardrails, and its own different training on chain of thought or some models that allows it to figure out or achieve a goal. It can be a simple prompt which says, hey, write a prompt for me, write a blog for me given this email. And you have tools like search, you have tools like calling, reading from my email, and then it will just go and do that one job, right? So that's pretty much you need to understand on the tech stack side. Okay, then let's get to the next one. So what we said is, okay, you want to do a job, which is a risk assessment job, and you can write a single agent. Let's say this is your intelligence, and we say you can do search as a tool. So this is your tool. We said you have knowledge, which is, let's say, a contract with 500 pages. That's your knowledge. And then we said, okay, so that's your tool, that's your knowledge. You have intelligence, which is, let's say, call it your agent. And then it's powered by this intelligent model. Let's call it Claude or Gemini, just for fun. Okay, so now you have this, and the problem it's trying to solve is, given a contract, can I find risk in it? Okay, and you told it that you have tools like search, and you have research tool or search tool. You have knowledge, which I'm giving you, which is this 500 pages contract. And by the way, I have some other contracts where previous risks were identified. So contract one, contract two. So you're trying to solve this problem. And what's happening is you're not getting a huge, great accuracy because there's just too much going on in this one agent. If you look at finding risk, this agent has to do 5 or 6 tasks, and each has its own error rate. One is it has to extract, then it has to find what are the key terms in this type of a contract, because you can have different kind of contracts, right? So it has to extract what type of contract it is, extract type, extract key terms, find what is the good or bad values in that particular way. For an example, let's say you're checking indemnity, which is I should indemnify if something goes bad to you, or I should save you in that case, or how much can I pay you in case of something goes wrong if I don't deliver. Then first I have to extract that value. Then I have to find what is the value of that indemnity in this contract. And then I have to figure out what is good. And then I have to articulate it to you. So what we say is let's bring focus and create 4 agents, one for extraction agent, because these contracts can have pictures, tables, images, all that kind of problems. And this is sophisticated agent which has its own tools, its own memory, its own knowledge to solve just one problem. This is an extraction agent. This is what is the kind of playbook which you will use to do risk assessment. And then you have articulation, which is what risk should go on top, what should be medium risk, what should be low risk. Right? Somebody built that and they called it a multi-agent system because now it has 4 agents. So, okay, so now we know what the tech stacks look like. What as a product manager you need to do? What is your stack looks like? What are the capabilities you need to have in your mind to build these agents? First of all, you should be able to understand your company and identify these opportunities. Understand and identify. That's the first thing you do as a product manager in AI. Because everything is not something that you can just build agent on. And I will give you a framework after this. But you have to understand and identify first. Then you should be able to break it down like I did. If you just saw, I just broke it down, that risk assessment, into 4 different things. And then you should be able to identify what you should put in your roadmap. What's the most riskiest thing that you need to validate? And you can create a roadmap like Ritu did. Ritu is here. She figured out how can you never need to apply for a job again. And then she broke it down into 4 components, which is, can I search the jobs? Can I create custom CVs for this job? Can I actually apply for the job? And can I get a feedback whether they got accepted or rejected for that job and then change it? So she broke it down. And then she said that, okay, I got that breakdown, but what should I build first? What should be in my roadmap for MVP? And she said that in my MVP, I'm just going to build the resume modifier first. Why? Because that allows me to add a lot of value and also validate the riskiest hypothesis in this first. Because searching for jobs is like kind of solve problem. Applying for job, I can put a human, but if I can't modify resumes and if I have to hire expert, I can't scale this service. So that's what she's building first. And once she builds that, then she can actually start finding and giving you a CV which is modified, which you can give feedback. And if you stop giving a lot of feedback, then she can automate everything for you. Okay, she did that. It started working. But then she should be able to do evaluations. What is good looks like without customer, and create a way for her to make it responsible. That she's not adding a lot of things which you have not done. She can modify the resume, but she has to put guardrails that she's not adding something that is not authentic to you or what you have done. Because the model can do it. The model will get a prompt saying, hey, make me perfect for this job. And it will write something in your CV. And hopefully you missed it. And you show up on a job and this guy says you have done it. And you're like, no, I've never done it. And that would be the last day for her or her product. So she's putting evaluations, which is a huge topic for us, which we do differently. And then she's putting guardrails or responsible AI, what should or what should not happen in her system. And on top of that, she need to go pricing and GTM. She need to figure out what's her cost looks like in this AI world, which can be tenant of cost of inference, cost of eval, and cost of quality improvements, which can be fine tuning, which can be getting into multimodal, which can be getting into multi agents, all that. And then she has to figure out how is she going to GTM, because most of people are going to say, hey, I don't want to pay anything because you are getting a lot of things for free. So why don't you give me everything for free? And some people will say, I don't want to pay unless there is a human involved. So what that looks like for her, that's your PM stack. If you are building agentic applications, you should be able to do all these or talk about this in your sleep. And if you are not, then this is what you need to go learn. And hopefully our course will help you, but you can do it on your own. I've seen people trying it on their own, takes 6 months to a year, they reach there. But if you do the course, I think we can take you there in 6 to 8 weeks. That I think the benefit of doing the course. Can we talk about which agents are working in 2025 in production, right? So, okay, we have done this. There are PMs who came before you or before me and who have gone and actually built these agents, figured out their GTM, and have a way to evaluate, figure out what is the highest, riskiest part, created a roadmap and shipped it. So, what's working, right? Top agents, those are working in 2025. Let's look at them quickly. I just did 5, but hopefully today you can't talk, so that's not fun. Okay, support agents, right? Support agents are working. You have seen, I built some for GCP. If you go and try to get support on GWS, which is Google Workspace, Mail, if you're trying to get support on Google Admin, trying to get support, that support is automated. GCP tech support is automated. So it's support agents. Salesforce has one, ServiceNow has one. These are gone in production this year. Yeah, look at that, Becca. So then the next is coding agents. These are which can go write code for you. Examples of this is you have seen what Lovable can do. We showed you a demo in last community session. If you have not watched it, it's on YouTube. See how we build the front end with Lovable by just writing a prompt and it wrote all the code and gave it all the code also, right? So Lovable is there. Cursor, this is a first Visual Studio type engine which allows you to have vibe coding, which is you just tell it what to do and it will do it for you. And there are many. So those are going. Then you have research agents. Which is you have seen deep research, you have seen Manus, you have seen Perplexity, you have seen Scientist, and I think Microsoft also released their own version of it. Good. So all these are working agents in prod, which you can try today. And if it doesn't work, you can file a bug for it and somebody hopefully should help you. Okay. Then we have seen internal knowledge agent. These are Glean of the world, where they have said that, hey, your company has a lot of knowledge. We should come in and help you manage it. This will allow you to onboard people faster, get internal support on HR, allows you to create specific payroll, specific docs and all. And the last thing which we are iterating and already getting traction this year is computer control and phone agents. You're seeing every day, there's a company which is saying, I can do phone calling. I know a friend who built a company which is calls people for collections and they are saving them 30 to 40% and taking half of that money, 20% of the total collections. So these are the agents and there are many more, but these are the top agents I'm aware of which go and make this happen. Okay, so what are the ingredients or what is the framework you can use to build agents in 2025? One is figure out the task nature. So there is a spectrum on all of these. And if the task is boring, repeated, and doesn't require any creativity, so less creativity, repeated, and have some knowledge base which you can use to answer, those are highly good. If you're looking for strategy, require some insight which people can't write it down, requires a lot of creativity from the person, and the person's name is what making is possible. Like if you look at my course, it is little strategic, means there is a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of information on internet, but how to bring it in a way that helps you build a product or evaluate a product, it becomes very creative exercise. So it's hard to automate somebody like me or somebody, an instructor or a CEO or even a product person. But you come here and take a support agent, then it's much easier for me to automate a support agent because they have to read documents. It's a repeated task. Like 80% of support requests come same again and again every day. And it is something that people don't like, and they're bored to death doing support. Nobody is having fun in that. So that's one. Second thing you can look at is data availability. Do you have data, right? Can you have data? You will, everybody saying that you don't need data for LLMs, but you need to check, do you have data, because you will need it. So that's the spectrum also. And not any kind of data, you need data with ground truth. Example of this is a good one will be RFP, request for proposal. If you're filling them, and especially if you're filling that for government, you have a lot of data, and you also have what RFP was selected by the government. So you have the ground truth. So go for that. The bad idea there is if you look at clinical data of patients, there is a lot of data, but finding like what's going on right now with a particular patient or a particular hospital or a particular disease, best of luck. Like there's no way to get that, and you will start failing inside the companies, and then you can't make promises, and if you can't make promises, it's hard sell for you, right? So just that's your second aspect. But figure out what kind of data you have. You need to have around 10 GB of data, and that 10 GB of data should also have ground truth for you. Third thing, figure out the regulatory landscape. We discuss AI Act and the US AI Act in the course, where we discuss what is like what the governments want you to go solve and what they don't want you to solve. What they don't want you to solve is face detection, law infringement, or anything to do with people's personal health. These are highly, some of them are not allowed, and some of them are going to be audited at much more scrutiny than other things. But they are saying create knowledge, generate recommendations, create chatbots, automate away daily tasks. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing there. Nobody's saying, let's just see how can we modify human behaviors about a different aspect of the things. Then can you GTM it, go to market? That you will learn hard way. So these three are easy. There are few agents which are really easy to go to market. For an example, in contracts, if you're trying to sell, I was talking to an investor yesterday, and he was saying that he has invested in two companies. One has built a fully automated system which does billings for medium to large organizations, fully automated. So that's the kind of things you need to figure out on your GTM story and start think that before you go start investing in these products. And the last is, which is connected to that, which is, will there be an ROI and when that will happen? Based on your company, you have to see how much room you have to bring the investment returns. Like if you're OpenAI, you can just wait for 2 years. But if you're a small company trying to solve a contract problem, and then you say, my first product is actually a fully automated contract lifecycle management, is a bad idea. You should just do risk assessments in a contract, because that you can get quick ROI. This will accelerate their sales motion. They can sign contract faster if they know the risks, and that gives them an ROI. And then you can go and automate one day, but you don't need to automate right away. So these are my tips, tricks, or a checklist. So that's what we did. We talk about agents. We talk about the basics 101. Then we went and said, what is the tech and product stack looks like if you want to build agents? Then we talked about what are the agents that are going in production today. And then we looked at what are those clues, which are how can you What if there is an ROI in it? If there was a GTM motion was simpler, do they have data? Are they away from the regulatory scrutiny? And can they figure out the use case which nobody wants to do in a company? And they have already tried to automate by outsourcing it. By the way, I'm Mahesh. I will show up again. But this is our session next week, where we will come and find out what are the next 5 agents we will be able to build if we solve the orchestration challenge, which we are trying to solve this year. I teach a course on Maven. This is the best course ever created, which covers what I covered today. We don't only talk about the concepts, we actually apply them. We build a hands-on project and we go and empower you to solve these problems and be the leaders who will go and take us to this new agentic world.